Hello, how are you doing tonight? Are you ready for a vlog? Let's vlog! 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 Oh, I just dropped off Miss Tanya Jean Applestein, who has to work in the morning. It is Friday evening, and it is 12:39 a.m. going into Saturday morning. And Tanya's going to bed because she has to work early in the morning. My husband was in bed by 10 o'clock tonight because he is extremely sick and he doesn't feel well at all. And he had to work all day today, and he has meetings tomorrow, so he went to bed really early. I feel so bad for him. He has like a head cold or something. He's so stopped up. And so yeah, so I filmed videos earlier, and then I did a live stream because he was just like laying in bed, and he was like looking at Instagram and stuff. And so I did a live stream, and then I bought a pair of shoes online. And yeah, I think that's about it. I bought these shoes that are like, they're loafers, but they're like really kind of they're all black, and they're like they're kind of like casual dressy. I don't know how to explain them. They would look like cute with like jeans and like a t-shirt to go out, and they have like tassels on them, and they're like canvas material, so they're more casual than like the shoes I've gotten in the last couple like months before I went to Vegas and stuff like that. But yeah, and then I picked up Tanya, and well, I took the dogs out, and then I picked up Tanya, and we drove around for a while. I got a fountain pop, and she went to the Blake Shelton concert the other night. Was it last night? So she was telling me all about that. I need some lip stuff. It's a lip thing. And we were just talking about recovery stuff, and that's about it. Got up today, and I met with a sober friend of mine, and talked about some stuff and hung out. And then I love this Kiehl's lip mask, let me just tell you. I wasn't, like, when it came out and everybody was talking about it, I went in, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I went into the Kiehl's and I talked about, or I tried it out, and I was like, well, I like the lip balm a little bit better. I really like this a lot. I almost prefer it to any of the other lip things that I've had from Kiehl's. And it's, this is the buttermilk lip mask. But it's really nice. And then what else did I do today? And then I came home, and I laid down with the dogs for like an hour, and then I took a shower and I filmed my videos. But then it got late, and Alex was coming home, and I put up my video on my Peter Monn channel, which most of it was me covering this rendition of Shallow by Trisha Paytas. Now I have that stupid Lady Gaga song stuck in my head, and I was showing it to Tanya, and Tanya was like, we got like halfway through it, she goes, okay, I've seen enough, like I can't see any more of this. I was like, okay. So I had that Shallow song stuck in my head. And I'm gonna vlog tonight, and then I'm gonna listen to a lot of In Cold Blood, because I have to finish it by Sunday. And you know, it's interesting, I have to say I don't love the book. I feel like it's really dragged out, but it is beautifully written. It is absolutely beautifully written, and to read it from the point of view of literature is really nice. I don't know, it's very dry. But so anyway, I filmed a video for my Peterisms channel, and I filmed a video for my Booktube channel. I actually created my own book tag. It's something I just kind of came up with at the last minute. But by then it was like 8:30 when they were done, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to post them on Saturday. I'm not going to post them this late because people probably won't see them come up. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this vlog and you like me, could you give this video a big thumbs up so we get a lot of likes on this video? I'm going to start asking for that. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel and all of my channels, please go ahead and subscribe to my channels. It would mean a lot to me. Thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, that was kind of my day. And tomorrow, Alex has some meetings and some stuff, and then we'll probably just hang out. He is so sick. If he's still sick tomorrow, I have a feeling he's not going to want to do anything but just like lay in bed tomorrow night. So I want to watch this documentary that Tanya was telling me about. She, I think it's on Netflix, and it's called 54, and it's about Studio 54. And she was talking to me about it. Now I know a lot about like Andy Warhol and the Factory and the Studio 54 era, but I don't know a lot about Studio 54. And I've actually seen a lot of like documentaries about specific people from that era, like Candy Darling. Was that her name? That was her name. And there was a whole documentary about her. And I watched a whole documentary a long time ago about the Factory. And then Joe D'Alessandro, I watched a whole documentary about him. And Divine, I watched a whole documentary about, but that's more like John Waters. I watched a whole documentary about Divine. That documentary was fantastic. I think it's called Divine, just Divine. And I mean, I watch documentaries about anything. And I was telling Tanya tonight to watch the Kevin Aquan video or documentary. But anyway, I can't remember the guy's name that owned Studio 54 that Mike Myers played in the movie, but the co-owner was Ian Traeger. Well, when Tanya was she was telling me all of this about it, how interesting it was, and they had known each other from college, and they went to prison together, and then they were going to buy this house out in the middle of the country, and they ended up buying this house, and that's where like the owner died and things like that. But she kept on talking about this Ian guy, and she was like, he opened boutique hotels, and I go, Ian Traeger? And she was like, yeah, and I was like, oh, he invented the boutique hotel. Like every really like conceptual boutique hotel in the world, like Ian Traeger like put together. Like he's super famous for this. So we were talking about that because like I always see these hotels that I want to go to, and they're like Ian Traeger. I think it's his last name Traeger. They're like Ian Traeger hotels, and she's like, well, he was married to like 2 ballerinas, and I was like, yeah, that's him. He's like super famous for like hotel design. And so she said you have to watch the documentary 54. So I'm going to watch that this weekend. And yeah, that's about it. The Oscars on Sunday. I haven't seen a lot of the Oscar movies this year. But I did a live stream tonight. I'm going to try to do a live stream tomorrow night. And then I have the live stream for the book club on Sunday afternoon. And yeah. I was telling Tanya, she's like, what are you going to talk about in your vlog tonight? I said, I never know what I'm going to talk about in my vlog until I start vlogging, and then it just kind of happens, you know? She said it's supposed to be 60 tomorrow. Right now it is 34 degrees, and very nice outside. Very still tonight. The dogs were so funny today. They were so hyped up. In one of my videos, I think it's my Purisms video, Boo Radley is like crying, and then he wants up in the chair, and then I pick him up and I put him in the chair, and then he's like scratching up the chair. He's so funny, that little guy. And I have to stop sometime tonight. I have to go to Meijer and pick up dog food and treats because we're out of treats. And then PB's out of his vet med, and I had to call that in, and I have to go pick up that tomorrow, or Alex might pick that up in the afternoon. It just depends. Just depends. So yeah, that's about my life right now. How's your life doing? How's your life going? Are things going well? I don't know anybody's birthday today, so if it's your birthday, happy birthday. And if it's your anniversary, happy anniversary. And if it's just your Saturday, happy Saturday. Oh, it like shows what is playing on my iPod right here. And right now, oh, it's like actually playing, listen. It's Little Girl Blue by Janis Joplin. I love her so much. And we were talking about documentaries. That is so weird. Have you guys seen Little Girl Blue, the documentary? Oh my God. That documentary is so fantastic. I'm actually going to pull in here, and I'm going to read some of my comments in my vlog and respond to a few of my comments. How about we do that for a second? What do you think about that? Oh, I know what I did earlier today. I went to Roost Cafe, and I had a grilled cheese sandwich and a bowl of tomato basil soup and a cup of coffee. And I sat there by myself, and there was this table next to me. Well, I'll tell you guys about that in a second. They were so loud, I couldn't not, like, if you ever, like, sit somewhere and you're like, if you go by yourself, you'll know what I'm talking about. But, like, I couldn't, they were right next to me, and I couldn't not listen to what they were saying. And they were, like, these two older women. I think they were, like, maybe sisters or something. They were so cute, and they were talking about Netflix. I'll talk about that in a second, but hold on a second. Well, I'll talk about it now because I'll forget it. They were talking about Netflix, and it was so cute. Like, this one woman was like, they were like kind of catty corner from me, like right next to me, but kind of catty corner. And they were like, their table was this way, my table was this way. And the one was like, every time I get on Netflix, I thought, like, this is what's so funny about it is I was thinking to myself, like, back in the day, my mother would have been, if she was alive today, she would want Netflix, she would want the Instagram, she would want the Facebook, she would want all of it, but she would be so confused about it. Like, it would really confuse her, because anything technological confused her. I think that's where I get it from. And so this woman was like probably in her late 70s, early 80s, and she was like so sweet, and they both were like, or she had like her salad that she was taking with her, and I think the other woman was taking something with her, but I don't know. Anyway, so she was like, every time I get on Netflix, she was like, I just can't find my list. They just keep on hiding it. They push it farther and farther down. And then the other woman was like, I know, I just have such a hard time. And she's like, then, you know, I always want to find my TV shows, and I can't find my TV shows anywhere. They were so cute. So anyway, that was my lunch today. Okay. Go into my vlog. Go into my comments. Oh, this is a long comment. Aww. Winchester girl's not feeling well. Sweetie, I hope you start feeling better. Okay, I love Martina McBride and Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar is one of my all-time favorites. Oh my God, you guys are getting all kinds of snow in Iowa. Thank you, Jen, for saying it's a great vlog. You can see me as a James or a Patrick. Really? That's funny. People always mistake my name and they call me Pat or Patrick. That's so funny that you said that. Because people that like have only met me a couple times, they'll be like, Pat. And I'm like, they'll be like, Patrick. And I'm like, are they talking to me? That's so funny that you said that. Oh, Sandy. I love that name for your daughter. Chad or Richard, said Shauna. Hillary said she had a French bulldog named Nancy. I love it. Emily put blue hearts. Thank you so much. I don't know what that means, Stacy. I'm confused by your comment, but I'll have to look that up. Oh, Hillary counts with her hand. Thank you, so I don't feel stupid. You said you've never... Okay, so my camera was, like, out of focus. It was, like, horribly out of focus. I don't know what was going on. Oh, my God, Emmy, that is so funny that your husband said that. She said that she can listen to me for hours, but like her husband complains for 1 second, and she's like, can't deal with it. Oh, thank you, Steph. Melissa had dogs named Lucy, Susie, and Leroy. I love that. It's hilarious. Aww. Okay, so Mrs. Cotton Candy Darling Life was talking about how important birthdays are and what her husband thought about it. And, you know, it's interesting that you say that because, like, my dad, when my grandma was alive, would always call his mom on, and he told me that I always had to do this with my mom. He would always call my grandma on his birthday and thank her for his life. Like, that was really important to him. Janice wants to say happy birthday to everybody. Mackenzie is a horse chiropractor at the Anderson Horse Park, so I hope maybe I'll see you there sometime. Melissa's horrible at counting too. Okay, now I don't feel so bad. I'm like kind of just skimming over these, you guys. A Trevor or a Paul, said Brookie. And thank you for the suggestion. Gray sheet. Gray sheet, yes, yes, yes. And she's talking about gut health. I do know about that. Thank you. Raven said half Pepto and half vodka, gaga maggot. Oh dear God. Okay, yeah, it's totally nasty, but I will tell you. Okay, I'm not going to read any more of these, but thank you so much. I'll read the rest when I get home. The Pepto-Bismol and hold on a second. My hand is itching. Doesn't that mean I'm going to get money? The Pepto-Bismol and shoot. And the vodka, what it would do was, it would kill my hangover, which is why I drank it. But yes, I will completely agree, it is totally nasty. It's a mixture of like coating your stomach so you don't get sick. So really, I mean, it's a really sick alcoholic trick. I mean, if you ever are there, trust me, you've got problems, okay? But it coats your stomach so you can continue to drink, because then what you do is, it's the drinking the next day is what takes away the hangover. It's like, you know, the old saying of the hair of the dog that bit you. But the thing is that when you're drinking like that, and that was at the end, you know, mostly, I mean, I did that before, but it was mostly at the end. The thing was, it's kind of like when they talk about wet brain a little bit, you know, it's like, I was, there's an ambulance coming, rushing behind me. The thing is that, it doesn't have its lights on. Doesn't that mean something bad? Doesn't that mean somebody's like dead or something? I don't know what that means. Do you guys know what that means? Is that a wives' tale? But the thing is, by the time that you're getting up and you're drinking, because you drank so much the night before, that, like, you have to, like, that was really, like, my last year or two. It was bad, you know? It was like I didn't ever not have alcohol in my system, which is why when I went into treatment, I almost blew, like, my BAL was so high that, like, I seemed highly functioning, and yet I was in a complete state of blackout, and I should have been dead because my BAL was so high at that level, at that point. And people could, like, the assessment counselor, she didn't even know that I had been drinking, you know, like, she couldn't even tell. My stepmom was like, I know him, he's, like, in a blackout right now, you know, because I was consistently drinking for so long that, like, the alcohol was really, at some point, never really leaving my system, you know. Very, very scary. And that was just kind of my life. I mean, I look back at that and I think, God, it's crazy. I don't even know how I made it, you know? It's just crazy. And then to think that there are people, you know, that do that for years and years and years and years and years and years. I mean, I drank from 12 to 22, but that hardcore kind of drinking was really just like, I mean, I drank to drunkenness always, but like that last 2 years was probably when I was doing all that kind of stuff. It was bad. Can I just tell you that the last couple nights I have been doing the, I like gotten away from doing the hydrating face masks and the lip mask and all that stuff. And, the last 2 nights, I did it again, and I can literally tell a noticeable change. Like, in my skin in the morning when I wake up, it's just, like, fresh and dewy. That says a lot about those products. Like, I swear by them. That Belief Hydrating Face Mask. Oh, I need to get, I want to get some of the Neutrogena ones, too, but I totally swear by those hydrating face masks overnight. And they dry very quickly, so, like, if you put them on, like, it's not like your skin is damp forever. And I don't know, maybe it's the fan, because the fan dries it out quick, like when I'm laying there. But I lay on my back, and, you know, within, like, 10 minutes, my face is dry, so I can move around and, like, you know, sleep on my side and whatever. And, Oh, you guys, last night. So anyway, but I believe in that, and I believe in the lip mask too. The Laneige lip mask. There's a lot of lip masks out there now. I want to try some different ones, but some of them, when I was at Sephora the last time, there was one that I wanted to try. I don't know who it was by, I can't remember, but it was like almost $40. And I thought the Laneige was that much too, but I think the Laneige is only like $20, and it lasts, I mean, literally forever. I mean, I've had it for a long time and used it consistently, and I'm only like a little bit into it. So I definitely think that is a great purchase. The Belief Hydrating Face Mask, you really don't need to use a whole lot of it, and at night. And then I put eye cream underneath my eyes. Now, I was using for a long time the one that Elle sent me, and I love that eye cream. But the last 2 nights, I've used this Kiehl's under eye cream, and it, like, you put it on your ocular bone, and it's like ophthalmologist tested and stuff like that. It's really thick. Like, you hardly need any of it at all. Like, you can see it, like, when it goes on, and it says just to, like, take it along the line of your ocular bone and put it up and just kind of moisturize it in. And I noticed such a huge difference, you guys, literally in 2 days. And I mean, what I do first is I wash my face with a Kalamazoo beard and face soap from Lush. I just love that soap. The smell is kind of like very clean. I thought at first it was masculine, but I don't think it's necessary because it smells kind of cedarish. But if you like that smell, like a woodsy smell, I don't know that I necessarily think it's masculine, but it is a beard and face wash, and I really like it. So if your husband wants to wash his face and you want something that smells a little cedarish, or if you like that smell, you know, it'd be great for you. I mean, it seems kind of like there's no gender to it really, but not that that should matter anyway. I mean, some of my favorite products are ones that smell like rose and, you know, things like that, but I know some guys are kind of weird about stuff like that. But I love that face wash. And you don't, I mean, and I have a big tub of it. The last time I bought a big tub of it, because I was like, I like it so much, I'm not going to continue just to buy the smaller. The thing is with Lush is this, is that like, between like the medium size and the large size, it looks like you don't need that much, but the reality is it's literally like a $6 difference, and then from the small to the medium it's like a $10 or $12 difference sometimes. So I'm just guessing, but it's like the difference between a medium and a large is not that great, but the difference between a small and a medium is great. So it like makes more sense just to spend the extra money and buy the large because it lasts forever. Like the Dream Cream, Alex has been using that because I don't like that. It's a lotion, and he loves the Dream Cream and he loves the smell of it. Well, he's been using it now for like a month, maybe over that, and I mean, he lotions every time he gets out of the shower. We both are like really weird about lotioning every time we get out of the shower, and he still is like been using it, and it's probably only maybe like a 1/6 of the way used so far. I mean, you don't even need that much of it, you know. It's kind of like a body butter a little bit, but not really. It's more lotiony than a body butter. But anyway, that Kiehl's eye cream is fantastic. Fantastic. I was really impressed with it. So yeah, that's what I do. So I do the eye cream, I do a lip scrub, and then typically, I didn't last night, but I do a lip scrub, and first I wash my face, then I do the lip scrub, then I put on the eye cream, then I put on the hydrating face mask, then I put on the Laneige lip mask, sleeping lip mask, and then I brush my hair back away from my face. Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. Okay, then I brush my hair away from my face, and then I spray my face. I had a couple of them. They're like the what do you call them? The misting sprays. But somebody, I'm sorry, I can't remember, sent me 2 bottles of the Bath and Body Works ones, the misting sprays, and they're fantastic. They're like my favorites of all. I mean, I have the Mario Badescu. I don't like that one. It's kind of greasy. This one is super clean and very fresh smelling. It just smells clean, and I love it. And I spray that on my face, and then I lay down because I find that it kind of makes my face a little dewier before I lay down. I put the hydrating face mask on the back of my neck too, and I think that makes a huge difference. Plus it's cooling, and I like that when I lay down. But it's just really nice. And then I usually spray the Sleepy spray from Lush all over my body because it has lavender in it, and that helps me sleep. But let me just tell you, last night I got into bed and I was literally like eyes wide awake. I could not sleep to save my life. I rolled around, I rolled around, I rolled around, I rolled around. I like wasn't even hungry, but I thought, well, maybe if I eat something that'll help me fall asleep. So I went downstairs and I made these like Morningstar fake chicken wing things, and I ate those while I was sitting there, and I just I couldn't sleep. I just could not sleep at all to save my life. And sometimes when I can't sleep, like if I have like some caffeine or if I have chocolate, like it does the opposite on me, because I think I'm just like so ADHD that sometimes like that like kind of stimulant like makes me fall asleep. So I ate some M&Ms and that didn't do anything, and I just tossed and turned and tossed and turned and tossed and turned. So I don't know. I hope that's not the case tonight. But I literally could not fall asleep last night. You guys, my dad said my hand is healing, and this is what is supposed to happen. But can I just show you this for a second? Hold on a second. Can you, I don't know if you can still see it, but here, I'm gonna move this like this and show you. Do you guys see this? That is not a shadow. That is the burn on my hand, okay? Look at that. It literally looks like a martini glass in my hand. You can see where it spilled on my hand, and then it went down the other side. And that is just, I was showing on my live stream tonight, that's just from me tipping the cup over just a little bit, and it spilled down like that. Like, it was like 2 tablespoons, and it's done all that to me. Tanya saw it in the gas station tonight. She's like, I cannot believe, like, you got burned that bad. I said, Tanya, I know. Like, it's horrible. It's literally purple on my hand. And it's still, and it's like really tight. I can feel like maybe the skin is like healing, because like when I do like a fist, it hurts. Talked to my trainer, scheduled a bunch of appointments with my trainer. And what else did I do? Not much, that's about it. I was like looking through all my books tonight because I did this book tag. And so I was picking like some of my favorite books to talk about in my book tag. And so if you guys like to do book tags, you'll have to go over tomorrow and I'll post it, probably 1 or 2 or something like that, mid-afternoon. And it's an original book tag. But anyway, oh, I need to put that in the title, original book tag. But anyway, but I was looking through all these books, and I was like, there's so many books that I want to read, and I haven't gotten to all these books, and I need to start doing more like monthly. I'm not a big believer in a TBR. Like when I started on Booktube, I did, and a TBR is to be read. And so it's like at the beginning of the month, you go through and you pick out like all the books you're gonna read. Or like for a readathon, you pick like the books you're gonna read for a readathon. For readathons, I always do a TBR and I try to stick to it. But for like the month, like I never know what book I'm gonna wanna read next. What just came out that I literally just bought on, I think I bought it on Audible. What was it that I was like, I really wanted the book? Well, On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. But there was something else that I bought, because it just came out. And I was like, I don't even know when I'm going to be able to read this book. The Becky Albertalli, Adam Silvera book I want to read. I haven't read it. Like, maybe It's One of Us, I think is what it's called, or If It's One of Us, or something like that. But there's so many books that I want to read. I have all these books on my kitchen counter that I want to read. And I'm actually reading quite a bit. Like when I'm in my car, I'm always listening to my audiobook, or I'm listening to classical music. And then if I'm at home, if I have just any time just to sit down, I sit down and I read. And I've been like reading quite a bit, but it's like there's always so many more books and so many more TV shows and so many more movies that I want to, there's just never enough time for any of that, you know? Oh well. Can't do it all. Now I'm wondering what the book was that I bought on Audible. Tanya was telling me all about her concerts because she went to Cher, and she was telling me all about Cher, saying that when like during that era of Studio 54, like she never felt like she fit in, and people didn't think she was a good actress, even though she like won an Academy Award. I guess that was right before she did Moonstruck and won an Academy Award, and then the year after she did, like I guess she said all this at the concert, that she was cast to do Witches of Eastwick, which is honestly, I mean, if you guys have ever seen that movie, it's one of my favorite movies of life. And I always forget about that movie, but I loved that movie. My friends and I loved that movie back in the day. And so she said that Jack Nicholson didn't want her to be in the movie, that he said she was old and that she was fat and whatever. And so the executive producer, like, so she was like taken off the cast. And so the executive producer called her and said that he really wanted her in the movie. And she said, well, I would, but I think that, I don't know that I can work with Jack Nicholson because he's old and he's fat. She like turned the script on him. I think that's hilarious. Okay. Let's see what book I just bought on Audible. Like all the books. Oh, The Past and Other Things, by Sean David Hutchinson. I have so many books I want to read on here. Oh my god. I just can't even look at it. Sean David Hutchinson is such a great writer. I actually saw this book, and it keeps on coming up on my Audible, and it's called, I think it's called Killer Clown, and it's about John Wayne Gacy. We might have to read this book. So, it's called Killer Clown. Here, I'll read you it really quick. He was a model citizen, a hospital volunteer, and one of the most sadistic serial killers of all time, but few people could see the cruel monster beneath the colorful clown makeup that John Gacy wore to entertain children in his Chicago suburb. Few could imagine what lay buried beneath his house of horrors. Have you guys ever seen documentaries of that? It's spooky. Until a teenage boy disappeared before Christmas in 1978, leading prosecutor Terry Sullivan on the greatest manhunt of his career, reconstructing the investigation from records of violence in Gacy's past to the gruesome discovery of 29 corpses of abused boys in Gacy's crawl space and 4 others found in the nearby river. Sullivan's shocking eyewitness account takes you where few true crime books ever go. Oh, is it written by the guy that was the investigator? It sure is. Mel, this is our book. We're doing this. Ever go inside the heart of a serial murder investigation and trial. Screenshot, because we're going to read that one. And then the other one that somebody recommended. Oh, here's one called Bind, Torture, and Kill about the BTK killer. Where is it? Zodiac, we're going to read one about them, about the Zodiac killer. The Onion Field by Joseph Wambaugh. He's like one of the very first people that ever wrote anything. But was about, shoot. The Nurse, it's called The Good Nurse. And somebody recommended it to me on my Booktube video, I think. Either that or the vlog. But I had actually read about it when I was on Audible, and I was like, okay, this might be a really great book to read for, and somebody said they gave it 5 stars. So if you're somebody that listened to the vlog, I saw your comment. But that might be a really great book to read for the book club too. And I've gotten several comments from people telling me not to read the David Cullen's book about Columbine, that we should actually read Sue Claybold's book instead, because her son was, I think his name was Dylan Klebold, that was one of the shooters at Columbine. She's the one that has the TED Talks. That TED Talk is incredible. If you've never seen it, you got to go see her TED Talks. But apparently, her book is fantastic because it's told from a personal point of view, obviously as his mother, but it also gets, I guess, the details of the events more accurate, like more correct, more accurate than the David Cullen's book. That's at least what I've been told. So I don't know, we might have to read that one. But like a lot of people have said in the comment sections that they've already read that book. So, and Mel, I think, I might feel like I'm talking to Mel right now. Mel, I think you said that you had already read that book. Quite frankly, I could just do a whole month, even though this has nothing to do with true crime, of my life as a white trash zombie, because I want to finish that series because it was so fantastic. If you're looking for a fun series and you don't mind reading about zombies, but it's not all about zombies, it's about addiction, it's about romance, it's about mystery and everything, read Diana Rowland's My Life as a White Trash Zombie. They are some of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life. Absolutely. So good. I'm so glad that we read that last year for the book club. My ears are clogged. Can't get them unpopped. Dream, dream, dream. So, what's new with you guys? So many of you liked the Johnny story about the fish. It's so funny. You know, I think in looking at relationships and past friendships that have fallen apart and relationships no more, you know, it's like, I don't know where I got this. I got this at a very young, well, so before I got sober, I was in several relationships. But they weren't long lasting. And, you know, I was young and I lacked any kind of maturity to understand the fullness of a relationship. And I really have to say that recovery really gave me that, you know, it really gave me the tools to understand what my part is in a relationship, as well as that, you know, for me, that people come into life for reasons. Somebody asked a comment. They sent me a message in a DM. I have gotten so many direct messages lately, you guys. If you sent me a DM and I haven't responded, I apologize. I've received so many lately. It's like weird. Like for a while I wasn't getting any, and then like all of a sudden it's just like boom, 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 boom. I'm getting tons. But somebody asked me, you always say that, how do they say it? I should look it up. Something about like that things in life happen for a reason. Like, can you give us an example, or can you give an example or do a video about it, like of something that happened in your life and then there was a reason to it? So let me think of one in a second and I'll talk about it. But, you know, like after I got sober and I started, you know, doing inventory and looking at my relationships and my interactions with people and looking at my part of that with people, you know, that, it really wasn't about me. There's this moment in the Kevin Aquan documentary when one of his past boyfriends, who's a fashion designer, is talking about what Kevin taught him as far as coming out, and that one of the reasons that he was afraid to come out was because his dad, like, had this fashion designer, his dad had all these issues with him being gay, and that Kevin was like, yeah, but see, those are his hang-ups. That has nothing to do with you. And this guy's explaining it in there, and it's like one of those moments of clarity, you know, like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Not just with coming out, but really with anything, you know? Like, I understand that other people's issues with, like, me or whatever, like, let's just take it to me. Other people's issues with me are their issues, not me. Like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not in that, right? Like, I really am not. And I think we personalize that sometimes because we think it's about us, but it really is not at all. It's really about the other person. It's really about, it speaks volumes about that person, of how they look at the world and their issues and, you know, their judgment and things like that. But it really says nothing about you whatsoever. And, so he's talking about it, you know, that like Kevin helped him get to the point of realizing with his dad, like, don't put your hang-ups on me. Like, those are your hang-ups, but that's, I'm not in that. Like, okay, those are your issues with, you know, your son being gay, but those aren't my issues. It's not about me. It was so interesting when he said that in there, and I was like, God, that's kind of like a powerful moment, you know, and, but anyway, you know, before I got sober, I did not see, I don't know if it was a refusal or if I was a lack of willingness or what, but I just really couldn't see my part sometimes. Like, even when it was like right in front of my face, I could not see my part in how I affected other people. And the thing is this, okay? No matter in any situation who's right, who's wrong, no matter in any argument, no matter in any disagreement, no matter in any whatever, there's not always one person who's completely right and one person who's completely wrong. Both people play a part in that, always. Always, okay? And so at the end of the day, when you look at it that way, and you take a look at your part, but then you keep on saying, yes, but, like this is you. And this is a trap that I have been caught in much of my life that I've really, in the last 6 months, worked very, very hard on, is just focusing on me, you know? And that it doesn't really matter if the other person ever gets that, or if they ever see their part. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, like, this would be a good example that things happen in life for a reason, you know? I mean, I think I had to go through some, you know, arguments with people and not, you know, acting the way that I'm proudest of, to take a look at and say, yeah, but it really doesn't matter who was right or who was wrong in that situation, or me needing to prove something or whatever, because really at the end of the day, it's about me improving who I am as a person and taking a look at myself and what do I need to work on with me. Like, you know, I can point the finger and I can, you know, talk about what somebody else did all day long, but really then I'm not learning anything about myself, and it's really about me growing as a person. I mean, that's what I want out of life, is to grow as a person, you know? And before I got sober, I didn't get that, you know? And I still work on that today. I mean, it's still an issue for me that I have to work on. And I think because, you know, when we're hurt, or our feelings are hurt, or, you know, we want to be vindicated and we want to tell on somebody and we want to, you know, do this, because that also pushes any kind of responsibility off of ourselves. We don't have to look at ourselves in that situation, you know, which is really what the main goal of life is. We don't have to look at that. I'm not talking about abusive situations. I'm not talking about any of that, okay? I'm talking about just very normal, regular situations with people. And so, before I got sober, I just was always, like, very... Like, if I went through a breakup, it was very... I was even holding onto the damn camera. I was very much like, hold on. Like, screw them. I'm going to show them. They're not going to hurt me. They don't, you know, they don't know, blah, blah. I was just like all that. Like, they. And, you know, after I got sober, because before I got sober, I had a couple relationships. One was somebody that was, like, back and forth, off and on. And we were young. Both of us were real young. And then the other one was with somebody that, it's who I got started using cocaine with and stuff like that. It was a real toxic relationship for both of us. And, you know, like, my part in that is that I shouldn't have stayed in the relationship, period. He never spoke kindly to me, you know, bordering on verbal abusiveness. But it was teasing, he would have said, but it wasn't. You know, it's interesting that here, like, 24 years later, I mean, he was who I dated, like, right before I went into treatment, like, that year, that I look at that, and I still, in my head, like, I can't call it for what it was. You know what I mean? It was cruel. I mean, he was really verbally cruel to me. Like, to the point where I was so thin at times, and he would make comments about how heavy I was, and I still hear that in my head, like, to this day, you know? Those are the things I have to work on today, because, you know, there's that scar still there from that. And, you know, it's like that saying from Pretty Woman when, you know, he says, you're so beautiful, and she says, the bad stuff's easier to believe. When somebody tells you something long enough, you start to believe it. And what I know now, looking back, is that he was so insecure that he had to put me down to make himself feel better. I know that. Like, I know that. And he's not a bad person today. And, I mean, we're not really friends. And, you know, I mean, I don't follow him on any social media and vice versa. But if I saw him, I'd be like, hey, how are you? You know, like, we're grown up. It's been 24 years, you know, and I know he's successful today, and he doesn't even live anywhere near here and whatever, but I mean, I don't hold any ill will towards him, and he was on my 4-step, you know, way back then, and my inventory, but I just didn't handle situations very well back then, you know, and And neither did the people. I mean, I remember when we broke up, like, I went out and he was like making out with somebody that night in a bar just to hurt me, you know, just to hurt me. And so then it was this back and forth of like, I'm going to hurt you, you're going to hurt me, I'm going to hurt you, you're going to hurt me. And I don't live like that today. I just don't. You know, it's why often in life situations, I just choose not to respond. You know, like, if you don't put gas on a fire, eventually it's going to die, right? And, you know, that's why sometimes it's just like, I have to look at what's going on with me? What can I learn from the situation? How can I be a better person? What do I need to fix within myself? What does this say about me? And, like, focus it back on me, instead of looking at the other person, you know? But when I got sober and I started looking at my interactions with people, not always, you know, I'm not a perfect person, and it took me a lot of work sometimes to get there, but I don't know where I got this early in some of my relationships, but like I would, you know, that cop had like guy behind the truck and everything, but, you know, like if I went through a breakup, I would, say to myself, like, what are the good things that happen? Like, what is positive that I can take from this relationship, you know? Like I can remember, like, my first, I really just talk about, like, my last 3 relationships, because those are the ones that were any, like, you know, withstanding time. And I look at, like, my first boyfriend when he left, you know, and we didn't have a horrible, none of my relationships did we have horrible, screaming, yelling breakups. They weren't like that. They just weren't, you know? They're very civil and sad, very sad, you know? But they were civil. My first boyfriend, like, I remember the day that he moved out of my apartment, you know, or moved out of our apartment, which then ended up being my apartment, but, I was very sad, but I can remember thinking to myself about all the good times, and I wanted to remember the good times. I didn't want to, like, remember the sadness or the falling apart and whatever, and, you know, and with my ex, it's like, I've told this story in here before, but one day he was, like, at work, and I found, like, when we moved in together, I found, like, this box of pictures of his ex, and it was, like, tucked way underneath the bed behind stuff. And I pulled it out and I brought it out and I had it like on the bed when he came home. And he was like real nervous. And he was like, well, I didn't want you to, like, I'm sorry, whatever. I go, you don't have to apologize. I said, you know, I don't know how I said it, but I was like, I don't want you to feel like you have to, like, hide parts of your oh, it's going to stop again. Have I gone that long? My God, hold on. I said, you know, I don't want you to feel like you have to hide parts of your life, parts of your past, parts of who you were. I said, do I want framed pictures of you guys all over the apartment? No, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't need that, right? But at the same time, like, I mean, I don't want you to feel like you have to throw away pictures. I mean, you were with him for like 6 years of your life. You know what I mean? Like, he's a serious part of your life. And I think, like, in that moment, I kind of got it, like, you know, I don't want to forget pieces of my past. You know, I just don't. And it's funny, like, I think sometimes maybe we need to hold on to that stuff until we don't need to hold on to it anymore. Because, like, when I started cleaning out the basement, I found this, like, it was like a little box. It was like this jewelry box thing of, like, stuff that I had from my first boyfriend, like notes and stuff. And when we moved, so we lived with my friend. My nose is driving me crazy tonight. I need to trim my beard. But anyway, we moved from one apartment then to an apartment, just the two of us. And that was the apartment that, like, he left when we broke up. But I had this huge box of shoes, and he had, like, put this, like, note or post-it note or something on it. It said, this box is for Peter's shoes, all of Peter's shoes. The entire box is just Peter's shoes. It was this huge box, right? And I had that in there. And then I had, like, these little different notes and stuff that said, like, you know, like, he used to, like, leave notes for me in the morning. And, you know, you'd say, like, I'm so glad that we got to spend last night together. You know, I'll miss you today while I'm at work, and I can't wait to see you tonight for dinner or whatever. And I saved, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 of those notes. And I had some movie ticket stubs in there and stuff. And I threw them out. I, like, they didn't really have any meaning to me anymore. I mean, this was my first boyfriend from when I was sober. You know, like, not my first boyfriend when I was sober. My first boyfriend when I was sober was straight out of treatment. I have a letter that he wrote me years later, and I don't know where it is in the basement. So anyway, he wrote a letter apologizing for his not so nice behavior towards me down the road. But anyway, he wasn't mean, he wasn't cruel, but we kind of had a little, let's just say, at one point, I wanted to get back together with him, and his intentions were not just to get back together with me. His intentions were different. So anyway, so he wrote me a long letter and apologized for it. It was very nice. That's down there somewhere. I don't know where. But anyway, but my first long-term relationship, that was with this guy, and I throw this stuff away. I just, like, it had really no meaning to me anymore, you know? And then with my ex, like, I had a box of stuff of his, too. It's like this little, like, bigger than the other one, but not as, you know, still not big. And there was, like, some, like, jewelry that he gave me, like, nothing fancy, like, you know, some bracelets, and, like, I don't even, like, the thing is, when I was, like, going through it, like, I didn't even remember the significance of what it meant to me anymore, with the exception of, like, a couple notes that he wrote me. And so, like, I threw that stuff away, you know, and kept, like, one of the notes, because I just was like, I don't need this anymore, you know? Not to mention, I'm somebody that, like, holds on to that stuff, and I'm just like, I don't need all this, right? Like, what am I gonna do? Go down there and look at it a million times? And that specific note that he left me was something about my mom, and so that's why I held on to it, you know. And I will say that, like, with Alex, like, I keep stuff from our relationship, but I don't do it as much as I did in my past relationships. Alex isn't like that either. Like, okay, this is really corny, but I collect something with Alex and I that I've never collected before, and that's hotel room keys, because it reminds me, it's real easy to keep, and I keep it in I have like 5 jewelry boxes, but I keep all of them in there, and then, like, I can pull them out, and it reminds me of that trip, because they're always, like, you know, the credit card ones, and so I keep those, but, like, other than that, like, every once in a while, if it's like a movie ticket that reminds me of a certain date that we want, and I'll keep, or if it's like something special that we did, I'll keep, like, something like that. But, like, I don't keep a whole lot of the other stuff. Like, Alex keeps some of those kinds of things, but, like, we don't keep cards anymore. We just don't, you know, and, but I used to hold on to all of that stuff, and I don't know, I just, you know what I mean? The relationship is more tangible to me, I think, than any relationship I've ever had before. That the memories are priceless to me, and I don't feel like I need to hold on to that stuff. Like, I haven't felt like that from the very beginning of it, you know what I mean? I mean, little notes and stuff that he'll, you know, write for me, I save and whatever, but because I want to have some of it, but I don't want to, you know, I don't need to be a hoarder with that stuff and just have tons and tons and tons of it. But that's kind of how I've been, like, you know, in past relationships, I've held on to all this stuff, and then I'm like, why do I have all this? Like, every card, you know, that we gave each other in a relationship. Do you guys do that? Or, like, you know, every movie ticket, every this, every that. I don't do that anymore. I think I get that from my mom. My mom did that too, but it was very organized, you know. The funny thing is, and, like, I don't have kids, so kids aren't going to be looking through that stuff someday. Like, for me, it's kind of fun, you know, because I'll find things like, my mom and my dad used to throw these, like, outrageous dinner parties when they lived together in Chicago and Grand Rapids, before. So my dad did his family medical practice, residency in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then from there they moved to Chicago, where he did his plastics residency, and then they moved to Indianapolis after that, where he started practicing. But so they have these, like, extensive menus where my parents would cook these meals together, mostly my dad, and, like, but they're hilarious, these menus, right? Because they'll, like, say, you are cordially invited to, and it will say, like, all this stuff on it, and it will say, music will be live guitar by so-and-so. It's like, they're very cool, and my dad would do, like, wood presses of them, and I have, like, things like that, and I'm so glad my mom saved some of that stuff, you know, or, like, poems that they wrote each other back and forth. I did actually, I think, maybe a Peterisms video about it. There's this one poem, and it's so interesting because my mom and dad, like, they went to Bloomington, IU, before, like, they got divorced. Like, that summer for my dad's 40th birthday. They, and my mom, like, wrote this poem. I know it's from them because it's dated. And she wrote this poem, and it's, like, 4 pieces of paper, and it's, like, stapled along the edges like a book. And it's this poem to my dad about, it's very sad, and it's, like, about them, like, and these apartments that they lived in Indianapolis, and when they were younger, and that my dad always, like, you know, would, like, walk the streets of Indianapolis holding her hand, and, you know, the brisk autumn air, and the smell of, like, Jameson on his breath, or something like that, from, like, they left some bar that they used to go to when they were, like, younger, and then she talks about, like, the leaves blowing down the tree, or down the street, and she's like, and those same leaves don't blow down the street anymore, and the street has taken on a different shape, and the houses that used to linger there with our shadows underneath as we kiss no longer linger, and the shadows are longer now. It was so sad, this poem, and I saved that. So I'm glad that my mom saved some of those things, because who doesn't want to be sad? No, I mean, like, it's nice to see some of that stuff, you know, and it's interesting because, like, I asked my dad when I found that poem if he remembered it, and he was like, yeah, I totally remember that poem. He was like, she gave that to me, like, he was like, she wrote it, like, on the way home from, like, Bloomington, and so, anyway, it's interesting, you know. I like the idea of family history. Obviously, you guys know that, but I like me telling my stories. So, I don't know, and maybe in some kind of weird way, me vlogging and telling the stories on here is me documenting my own family history, my own stories. I don't know, maybe this is what will exist for me someday, you know? Maybe my extended family will have to go back and watch 20 years of vlogging, an hour and a half every day. Can you even imagine? Oh my God, they'd die. It's always interesting to me who watches my videos. Like, Alex's mom watches my Peterisms videos quite a bit. Tanya doesn't really watch any of my videos. Every once in a while she will if it's something that she wants to know about. My good Judy that I had lunch with the other day, one of my best friends, she watches all of my Peterisms videos and my vlogs, which cracks me up. Hey girl! I should say something about her, just so she knows that I'm talking about her. Do you remember the picture that we took at the Venetian with my friend Brittany? You remember that picture, girl, the night before I got married? I still have it, girl. So anyway, now she knows who I'm talking about. She was at my wedding. And so she and I, we were the original casino queens back in the day. We call it the boat. And we used to go to the casino a lot together. And we also said that we were going to open this restaurant. And we were going to just call it, it wasn't even going to be called The, because I put The before everything. We were just going to call it Buffet, because she calls buffet, she calls it buffet. Like, I don't know how we started it, but we always, because we love to go to the buffet. So oh my Lord, we call it buffet, B-O-O-F-A-Y, and we like text each other this stuff, and we kind of have this running joke. My cousin knows this now, and she laughs about it, so I can say it on here. So my cousin had this Halloween party, and she like put the thing up. This was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. She put the invitation like on Facebook, and she was like, who's gonna come and blah blah blah, right? Okay, and like, so she just like tagged, it was like, she tagged like 10 people in it. My friend, me, you know, Alex, and all these people. And like, one of the people that she tagged in there was her mother-in-law. Let's just say her mother-in-law's name was like Judy Smith, right? This woman's a very nice woman, okay, but she's like my mom. I don't think she understands Facebook very well. So anyway, so let's just say like her name's Judy Smith, right? Because I use that for everything. So, like, I was like, I'll be there. That was like my comment. And then, like, my friend, Buffet, she was like, I'll be there. And, like, we were all like, I'll be there. And then Judy Smith just writes, Judy Smith. Like, she doesn't say, like, I'll be there or anything. She just wrote her name. And my friend called me up and she was like, oh my God, she was like, who is Judy Smith? Because she didn't know that that was her mother-in-law. And I was like, oh, that's Caroline's mother-in-law. And she was like, oh my God, she just wrote her name. And we got laughing so hard. So, like, every once in a while now, like, I'll just text her and I'll put, like, I won't say anything. I'll just text her and I'll be like, Judy Smith. And then she'll, like, just out of the blue, she'll text me and she'll be like, I love you, Judy Smith. It's just so funny. I know it's such a dumb joke, but I love her so much. We have so much fun together. So, I'm like, do I want to tell this story or not? I think I've told it on here before, but like, the night that I got married, so all of our friends and family stay at the Cosmopolitan, okay? And because that's where we got married. And the night that we got married, like, it went late, but like, we got up to the hotel room and, you know, y'all don't need to know about all that, but you know what married folk do on their wedding night, right? All that happened and everything like that. Well, my husband at about 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, completely crashes out, right? So I'm like sitting there, you know, I took a, you know, bath, I think, or a shower, and I'm sitting there in, like, you know, bathrobe, like some glamorous, you know, terry cloth bathrobe or whatever. I'm sitting there and I'm like watching TV and I'm so bored, right? And I'm like, I cannot believe that my husband is like dead asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2:30 or whatever, and, you know, on our wedding night. Because I was like wanting to stay up all night long. But we had been going all day. We had been like at the pool early that morning and everything like that. And I think we got back to the room something like 12:30. So, I mean, you know, we had married folk time. So I'm like sitting there in the other room. If you guys ever have seen like the vlogs that we did from the summer, we had this huge suite because we stayed in the same suite this summer that we got married in. So we had this huge suite, right? So it had extra bed. It had like a bedroom and a bathroom that was like, you know, to itself, and then it had like a kitchen area and like this huge area. And I'm like sitting out there looking at TV. There's like nothing on, and like I knew my cousin was asleep. My best friend at the time, who I've known for like 30 years, he and his boyfriend at the time, who is now his husband, they were staying at the Wynn, actually. And then it was like family and stuff. And so Buffet, my friend, is the only person that's staying there by herself, right? Well, her parents were out there too, but I knew that like they were dead asleep at that point. So I'm like sitting there and I text her and I go, hey girl, what are you doing? And she texted me back something like, why are you texting me on your wedding night? And I'm like, well, Alex is asleep and I'm bored. And so we went downstairs. I like went in there and I woke Alex up. He's like half asleep, and I'm like when I woke him up, he's like, huh? And I go, I'm going downstairs her name's not Buffet, okay? I'm just saying that because I don't keep her anonymous on here. I'm like, I'm gonna go downstairs and meet Buffet and we're gonna get a piece of pizza. And he's like, okay. So we went downstairs and we ate. The Cosmopolitan has this secret pizza place, if you ever stay there, that's open 24 hours because it's like right across from Marquee, the nightclub. And it's so packed, right? And she and I went and we got slices of pizza and we sat at the slots and played slots for like an hour, and then we both went upstairs and went to bed, and it was so much fun. And then the next day, so I'm so thankful to Buffet because I couldn't fall asleep and I was bored on my wedding night. Do you know, like, I don't know how to say this, like I'm trying to like be very decent about this and a very decent, because I find often that maybe sometimes YouTubers say things in a way that they don't need to say them. But you know, like when married folk like have married folk time, and that like usually, are you guys reading through the lines? Okay, good. You know, like when you're like, you have married folk time, and some people, when married folk time is over, they like crash and burn. That's my husband. But other people, when you have married folk time, you're wide awake. That's me, see? So it never works for us, because no matter what hotel we're in, if we have married folk time, which we always do because we're married folk, when you have married folk time, he's ready to go to sleep for the night and I'm up for the night then, see? It's just, I don't know why we're wired that way. But anyway, so I'm thankful for Buffet because she kept me busy that night. And the next day, she actually stayed kind of like a little bit longer than the rest of the people. I think like most people left Like the next day they stayed, we got married on Thursday, so they stayed Friday, but then most of them flew out on Saturday. I think we stayed till like Thursday, or I can't remember when we flew out long. We were there 11 days total. So if we flew in on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We flew out the following Thursday. I think she stayed till Monday or Tuesday. And because I do feel like we got together again with her and went out to dinner or something. I don't know. But anyway, that next day, there's 2 pools at, well, there's 3 actually, because there's the Marquee Day Club. But there's 2 pools that are like laying out pools at the Cosmopolitan. And the next day, all of our friends and stuff, they all stayed at one pool, and they like got us a cabana for our wedding. They all like pitched in, and we stayed at the other pool, which was really nice. That was such a fun trip. You know, it's interesting because we got married before it was legal, and it was a decision that we like deliberately made. You know, at that time, we didn't see the legalization of marriage equality being passed anytime soon, and we just really wanted to get married. We wanted to have our wedding, you know, and we did when it got, like, the legalization happened. I think it was, like, 2014. We got married in 11. That was 2014, I think. We literally got married the day that it, like, was passed in Indiana, which I think was, like, June 26th or something like that. It was the week of, like, my birthday. We went down there, and I have really cute picture of us because we were both wearing like shorts and polo shirts, and everybody else there was dressed up. We got our marriage certificate, and then they're like, for an extra $10 we can officiate it for you, and we're like, yeah, sure, why not, you know, because we're like, if you've seen, like, I post them all the time, like our wedding pictures where we're like in matching suits at the Cosmopolitan, but like our wedding pictures are legal marriage, which to us, like, our legal wedding, which our wedding is our wedding in Vegas, but it's like beneath this little cupola thing, and we're like standing there in like shorts and polo shirts, and we're like real tan from the summer. It's cute. But I can remember people asking me, like, after we got married, they're like, is it really any different? Like, does it really feel any different to you now that you guys have said the vows and whatever? And it really did. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but I just remember laying out by the pool the next day, and we were like, and it's just been a feeling that's been so different. And you know, it hasn't been easy since we got married. It's like, we've had some really difficult times. I mean, I've been honest about that, you know? And, but something changed after we got married. Like, even the very next day, I mean, like, that whole idea of commitment just seemed so different. Kind of like, we're in this together, you know? Like, it just was so different, I think. Even though we had been in a committed relationship, you know, already, it felt so different. It just felt, I don't know, it just felt different, you know? Did anybody else feel that way? Like, of you guys, did you feel that way when you got married? Like, and, you know, I think about that, and I think, like, it didn't have anything to do with a piece of paper or anything being legal or changing our names, which we talked about for a long time and never did. Alex was actually going to change his name to Alex Monn. And then I said, well, why don't we hyphenate? And he was like, no. He was like, just one of us change our names, you know? And I was like, well, if you want to. And then we kind of just never went through it. People ask us about that a lot. People always ask me about my wedding band, too. And why I don't wear it, because it doesn't fit. And I don't want to get it sized, because if I get it sized and then I lose weight, which is my goal, which I never have. I know. I don't need to be yelled at for it. But if I lose the weight, then I can't get it resized down. And if you saw the rings, you'd understand, because they're like mesh silver from Tiffany's, and they told us that if I got it sized up, I couldn't get it back sized down again, and I don't want to ruin the ring because of that. But we do have a wedding band, and I actually do like the Alex, because I got the engagement rings and Alex got the wedding bands. They're both from Tiffany's, and he surprised me, because we were just going to keep our engagement rings and use those, and he surprised me when we got out there, and and he had our names, like, engraved in them with, like, the dates. And that was tight when he got it for me, which was weird because I hadn't gained any weight, but it was just a tight ring. And I always thought that I would lose weight after that, and I didn't. But that I do need to get sized. should actually just take that in. I wonder how much that would cost. I should do that the next week. I can't imagine that would take that, cost that much. But I wore my ring forever and ever and ever until it just got so painful to even put on. And what's weird is I know the exact weight that I have to be. Have I talked about this on here, that I have to be 218? I know that I have the exact weight I have to be for me to fit in that ring, because I know, like, the last time that it was, like, when I was, like, really being, it was painful. I have my rings in a very special box, a little box in the closet, and I have it with my very first Sobriety coin that I ever got. And I have it with, when my book was published, my publisher had a bunch of stuff made, like bookmarks and little pins. And I have a pin from the original design of the book, which was green. And it has the cover of the book on it, like a pin that you put on like a jean jacket. By the way, if anybody wants some of those pins, I have thousands of them, and bookmarks, but I'm out of paperbacks. I think I have like 2 left, so I can't send out paperbacks, but if you want pins or bookmarks, let me know, and I'll happily send those to you. So anyway, yeah, that's about it on that. That was such a fun trip. That was such a fun, like, just the wedding and everything. I was so nervous the day of my wedding, but, like, so calm. Like, it's so weird when I look back on it. Like, I was really nervous, but, like, calm. And, like, Alex came out. Like, so, oh, it's gonna stop. Hold on. We have actually all the footage of our wedding. I should put that on a vlog. Would you guys like to see that? I have all the footage of our wedding. And, our wedding song was You and Me, or You and I, by Michelson. What's her name? Ingrid Michelson. And so I was sitting in one of the rooms with my dad and Caroline, my cousin, because she was my, best person. And then Alex was in the other room with his mom and his family, and Sarah, who was his best person. And then we each walked out, and I'll never forget when I walked out. Now, I'm the emotional one. I'm the one that cries and all this kind of stuff. And I came out, and there's actually, I posted it before because it's my favorite pic. I mean, he is literally bawling. Like, Alex he was so emotional, and I guess his mom said some stuff to him before he got married about that she was so happy for him, and she thought we were so great for each other, and she was so happy to, like, that I'm gonna finally be, like, a part of the family, really, and all this kind of stuff. And then my dad spoke at the wedding, and well, first Caroline spoke, and she talked about my mom, because I wanted my mom to be present in the wedding. And then she read some recovery stuff for me, and then because I wanted that to be a part of it. And then Alex's brother Fufu read some stuff, and that Alex had, like, prepared, and then, like, my nose was driving me crazy from this beard, and he had translated it from, like, Spanish, so we went back and forth. And then his mom spoke, and she did this thing about, it was really cool. It was like this old Venezuelan thing that they say. And it was that she talked about, like, when she had each son, it represented this string that, when wound together, made a rope that would bind the family together. And then when I came along, I was like the 4th string of her sons, and that I was now one of her sons. It makes me emotional just even thinking about it, and that, like, that I was like, I made the family stronger than what it was before, being part of it. And then my dad spoke, and he spoke a lot, like, about just marriage, and he talked in there about that people think that marriage is 50-50, and that that's not true, and that actually a marriage is 100%, because everybody has to be, each person has to be giving the most that they can give at any given time, because if they don't, and one person is giving less, then what happens if the other person is just giving 30% and this person is giving 60%, then you're not, but if this person is trying to give 100% and this person is trying to give 100%, then you're going to get more out of the marriage. And he gave this really cool speech, and he talked about his relationship with my mom and his relationship with my stepmom, and what he had learned from those marriages. And then we exchanged vows. Alex and I wrote our own vows, And we read them, and then they announced us, and we kissed, and our best friend Brittany married us. She officiated the wedding because she was the first person that we became friends with as a couple, and so we wanted somebody that we would be accountable to if anything ever went wrong in our marriage. And so then, and Caroline had read a prayer too, because Alex, you know, isn't a spiritual person, but I wanted a prayer to be like to be, you know, represented in our wedding. I wanted something spiritual that was important to me, and that I wanted a, you know, a marriage under my higher power's understanding. Even if Alex doesn't believe that, he was totally fine with it too. And then we got married, and we got married like I think at 6:30 going to 7, because it was really important to me, because this was something that was very important to my mother, that we got married on the up. And so we got married at like literally at like 6:59, because like right as we were kissing and they announced us, the Fountains of the Bellagio started like right after that. And there's a picture, and you can see, because my cousin's like looking out the window at the Fountains of the Bellagio while we're like, they're like announcing us, and we're like standing there, and all of a sudden like Caroline, you can see like Caroline's looking out the window at the fountains. Thanks, Caroline, for paying attention to your only cousin that's getting married. Hello. No, it was sweet. We talk about renewing our vows, but we had talked about that a lot last year, and you guys remember me talking about that on here, and I really thought it would be fun to do it in Vegas again and get married at like the Whitechapel. He's not real down for that, but we did talk about like going with another couple, just one other couple. You guys, I don't know what is going on. I haven't trimmed my beard in like 3 or 4 days. Maybe that's it. It's usually when I trim my beard that it bothers me, but I have not complained about my beard bothering me in a vlog in quite some time. Anyway, but we thought a lot about like taking another couple with us, like Melissa and Jason, and going somewhere like if we do the Fiji trip and getting like renewing our vows there, and then just being like witnesses to that, which would be cool. I just like to go on another 11-day wedding, but we're taking a lengthy trip, so that'll be okay. We've had some fantastic times together, you know. I love traveling with my husband. We have so much fun. It's always like so exciting to get to the airport and then like walking into the hotel room for the first time, like opening the door, like this is our place for a week, you know, and it's so much fun. And I love seeing the look in my husband's face, like every year, you know, when we walk into Ultra and he's just so excited, you know. It's so much fun. Jason and Melissa are super excited about Ultra. It's gonna be a fun trip. That's gonna be a long trip for us. I can't wait. I'm ready. I don't know how long I've been vlogging now. If I stopped it 3 times or 2 times? I think 3 times, so what is that? 48, 12. Am I at like an hour and like almost 20 minutes? Am I like at like an hour between 15 and 20 minutes? Oh my God, I didn't realize this vlog was that long tonight. I didn't realize that this vlog was so long. Okay, well, you know what? Because I don't know. Oh, my poor camera. Because I don't know, I'm gonna get off here now and listen to my audiobook so I can get prepared. Oh God, it's already late. I gotta get this book. I gotta get prepared for my book club discussion on Sunday. So I'm gonna get off here and listen to the audiobook, and yeah. And I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday or Sunday or Tuesday, whenever you're listening to this. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Oh, and if you're still there, In case nobody's told you today, I love you, and have an amazing day unless you have other plans. Bye.